Hello and welcome to Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter. I'm your host, Marlene Elizabeth. I love sharing tiny bits of huge wisdom in quotes and in song lyrics. In fact, whenever I introduce the concept of limiting money beliefs to female entrepreneurs who are struggling with overwhelm and frustration and just constantly feeling stuck, I always refer to this one special song lyric that I love from a song called Perspectives, and it's sung by a band called Kutless. And they sing, "Freedom is sometimes just simply another perspective away. Who could you be if your lens was changed for a moment? Would you still be the same?" In today's episode, you'll meet a riveting financial consultant, author, and founder of Bonafide Credit Consultants, who helps women step into financial freedom by helping them shift their money mindset with simple yet powerful strategies that are practical and anyone can actually put them into practice. So get ready for a rich chat about fueling your financial future.
Welcome to Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter, a video podcast series with certified money coach Marlene Elizabeth, with amazing weekly guests who share their inner challenges, personal triumphs, and inside tips and strategies so you can prosper, lead, and love bravely in business and life. So get comfy and get ready to grow money wings.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my wonderful show, Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter. And the reason that I say it's wonderful, because in our relationship to money, it's really, really hard for us to move on unless we do this piece that is around healing in our relationship to money. You know, really addressing forgiveness and letting go and the rituals around moving on. And so I know that when I discovered how important that piece it was for my own journey in my relationship to money, I just knew that I really needed to work in that direction as a money coach, as a certified money coach. And so I am really excited to be able to introduce you to my guest today, Pamala McCoy. Welcome, Pamela, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, Marlene.
I am too. I'm so grateful to have you as a guest today. And I wanted to share a little bit with everyone, a little bit about who you are.
Okay.
So Pamela is the CEO of Bonafide Credit Consultants.
Mm-hmm.
And her career in the credit industry, it actually spans over 25 years. And it really positioned her very powerfully and especially the success that she had in the industry, it really prepared her to fulfill her passion in the work that she does with her company, Bonafide. She established her company in 2008, and the mission of Bonafide is to educate, empower, evolve, enlighten, and enrich. And these 5 pillars help propel her clients to fuel their financial potential. So, welcome again, Pamela. Thanks again for being here today.
Yes. Thank you for having me again.
So, Pamela, tell me, what's your first memory of money?
Well, I would say, if you thinking back as young as when you're a child in a shopping cart with your mom, typically the mom did the shopping, but not in all cases. But that was probably mine, as well as others' first real experience in that introduction, if you will, to money. Did your mother shop with a grocery list or shopping list? Did she pay cash, or did she write a check, or did she pay with a credit card? Those are those subliminal messages and lessons that we learn that early on. Even though you didn't clearly understand all of those dynamics, that's your first introduction, not only to money, but budgeting even to some degree.
Mm-hmm. So your first memory of money was being at the grocery store with your mom.
Absolutely. And in our household, of course, that was a discussion, again, not all inclusive with the children, but you heard those discussions about money as they prepared for purchases and grocery shopping and school clothes shopping and all of those kinds of things. There were discussions that you were privy to, all of that surrounding money. So it wasn't like, oh, let's go talk in the room so the kids don't hear kind of thing. You know, to that degree, we were exposed to the money and clearly understanding the value of money for one. And in our household, clearly understanding the living within your means. I can remember times, you know, you might come, oh, well, my friend has this or that or the other, you know, and my parents' response would be, this is the Lofton household and this is how we do things in this household. You know, really sending that message. It really doesn't matter what they have. You know, we're going to do what we do, and it's based on living within our means. And, you know, even with that, never saw a hungry day, always had clothes, always had everything that I needed. We always had, and even had the opportunity to have some of the things that you just wanted to have. So.
And this is so powerful, because when you come from that kind of a background, right, where money conversations were common in the household and they weren't kind of shied away and left in a corner, you know, it really does contribute to you then becoming this responsible adult around money and being able to really be a productive citizen in the world, because you're able to fund your dreams and be able
Absolutely.
to, right? So
yeah, I mean, I can even remember I was the youngest of 4 children. My father was active duty military. So of course we've moved around and all of that, which was great experiences. But my brothers, at the time when I got my very first job, beyond the little babysitting and things like that, my first real job, working at Hardee's, which is fast food. You know, the first thing we did when I had my accounts all set up or what have you. And in our household, you know, the rule was you pay your tithes, you pay yourself, and then whatever's left, that's what you had to spend. And being that I was the youngest of the 4 children at the time when I got my job, my 2 older brothers were away at college. It was just me and my sister in the household. And so the cheapest bill in the household at that time was the newspaper bill. My sister paid the cable bill because of course she's older and made a little more money than I did. But my job was to make sure that the newspaper lady was paid on time, you know, without fail. That was my bill in the household. So that, again, at that time, you know, the newspaper bill might have been $10 a month or something very nominal, but it sets those principles, those rules of, you know, you make bills, you pay your bills get paid first. So you paid your tithes, you paid your bill. And in my case, that was the newspaper lady. And I had to pay myself, which was my savings. And then whatever's left, that's what I blew at the movies or hanging out with friends or candy or whatever. But that's how, you know, budgeting was introduced to me, even with that simple task, because I think it's not really so much about the money as it is about the behavior of knowing, you know, working and paying bills and paying yourself first, i.e. your savings account. You cannot spend everything that you make.
absolutely, absolutely. So you were really, your parents really set you up for success.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. And so in the work that you do now, I imagine that, you know, unfortunately, there's folks that have not had that kind of a situation, right?
Yes.
And so you're able to find out a little bit more about maybe some challenges that people have had around their life. And so what would you say, Pamela, would be one of the most common limiting beliefs around money that, you know, that you come across when you work with your clients?
I think probably that, you know, that's other people's story and removing themselves from the story, you know, that I'm in this circumstance, that's just life and that's how life is, not really stopping to think that you're empowered to change your circumstance. And so, you know, I think their mindset, you know, money and having money and savings and investing and stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all, that's for other people. You know, that's not part of my story. And maybe it wasn't growing up, but today is a new day and you can change that. You know, it doesn't matter where you start. We're always focusing on the finish line. And so, you know, overcoming those hurdles and those beliefs that, you know what, this process does and can include me. I just need to make some different changes.
So when you're talking about this limiting belief that's kind of around their identity, right? And there's so many limiting beliefs, right? I mean, they're as unique as every individual, but in this particular case, this is such a common one where it's just simply not part of your identity in the family you grew up in. And so you're talking a little bit more like kind of at a generational
Absolutely.
passing down of who we are as a family, right?
And if saving, say, for example, wasn't part of your DNA, if you will, then you just live paycheck to paycheck and you spend everything you have and you don't plan. You just, oh, I want this. So you go and buy it without really thinking through the consequences of, if I spend the money today, what could I have spent it for tomorrow or next week, and those kinds of things. Because in terms of savings money, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And that is truly strictly based on the decisions that you make with the money that you have coming in. And so, of course, different choices, different outcomes.
And that right there is something that if you don't already know that, you know, you kind of, there's another limiting belief that could be hidden in there, is that I have to make a lot of money in order to, right? In order to have an emergency fund, in order to have a savings, in order to invest, in order to buy a house, I have to make a lot of money to do that. And I don't. And so you take yourself out of the game. And what you just shared right there is that is absolutely not true, right?
Not true. Exactly. And so once you alleviate that myth from their mindset, then now you can begin to start talking about what are some of the things that I can do different, you know, to have these different outcomes, and how can I get in the game? How can I be part of this process? You know, how can I own a home? How can I save money? How can I, you know?
Absolutely. And so it's this incredible like awakening, this awareness of what? Wait a minute. You mean I can still even change my financial destiny? And so that alone is a big step. And then, so then that kind of rolls right into what I wanted to ask you next is, so then how do you help your clients take brave steps to shift their story? What are some examples of some brave steps that somebody can take, you know, when that is not their identity? They have not grown up that way, but they want to change it. They're starting to realize they have the power to change it.
I think probably the first step is just having that conversation and introducing them to that fact that, you know, you too can be included, and giving examples of other folks who might have had the same or similar limiting beliefs and how they overcame those, and now where they are based on simply that. You know, I don't lose sight of, I was so blessed to have these being introduced to money management, all those kind of things, even though it wasn't sit down, oh, let's sit down and we're going to talk about money management. It wasn't that. It was these subliminal messages from my environment that helped me. And I understand that everyone didn't have that. So my goal, you know, when I say the 5 E's, it's really about, you know, you think about when your hand is closed, you can't really receive any blessings or anything. But when you educate, you empower, you evolve, you enlighten, and you enrich, and following those principles, financial freedom is right in the palm of your hand. And that doesn't mean it's in the palm of, oh, that's for somebody, some people, not me. It's for anyone. When you apply those principles, you too can be included. And so it's really just kind of having that conversation and encouraging. All these 5 E's work hand in hand on getting them where they need to be. And the first step is shifting your mindset.
This is such great news for people that don't already know this. Really, it truly is, right? So, because, you know, I know that sometimes what can happen is that when you're really struggling in your finances, right, you can really start identifying your worth around your numbers. And what you're saying here is that just like anything, I mean, I know like in my case, in my life, one of the things that I kind of learned, not necessarily in a formal way, like you're talking about with money, you know, it wasn't formal. It was just absorbed through the environment. You know, for me, it was that way, was, you know, spirituality was that way. I mean, my grandmother never really attended church like religiously every single Sunday. And yet she was a very faithful woman. And I knew that she was talking to God. Like I knew just in that's something that I absorbed. In the same way, you can learn about money in the same way when you're in with other people that are in these conversations, right? So really getting yourself into these environments where you can even now learn more about money.
And the key is to know that it's never too late. That's an important point to make as well. So even if you don't get it when you're in your 20s or in your teens, and maybe you don't get it until you're 40 or 50, the key is that you get it. Because for me and what we do at Bonafide, as important as you getting it and clearly getting it, I want you to get it for generational transfer. And that's, you mentioned that earlier, is how do you break that cycle of, you know, generationally, we don't belong in that circle. We can never, that's for other people. We are automatically excluded because of what side of the tracks we grew up on or what have you. But to just dispel that altogether from this day forward, when you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get it until you're 40 or 50, all that means is that your time horizon, the benefit from that knowledge is shorter than if you'd gotten it at 20. But if you can get it and truly get it at 40 or 50 and teach your children and your grandchildren, they then will have that benefit for their entire adult life. And is that not a beautiful legacy to leave, this knowledge of empowerment as relates to money? And money, not only that, but self-esteem. When you say, you know what, I belong. You know, I'm a part of, and I'm in control of my destiny. The choices that I make can change anything and everything. And even that, again, it's not just related to money. Once you get that back, that you can apply across your entire life. You know?
Absolutely. That's where freedom begins, right? Right.
Yes.
So what belief do you, or I would say, what kind of beliefs, and you've shared a little, but what are some beliefs about money then that you see your clients shift out of and into that are more, you know, life-giving for them?
I think changing behavior. So if you're in that mindset of survival, and I'm trying to survive instead of thrive, kind of changing that. Because again, I can't make your money grow. You know, you make that grow by getting a bonus, getting another job, getting a pay increase on your current job, or what have you. But the choice to make a different decision about the money that you do have coming in, you know, so maybe you're a Starbucks junkie, and I used to like to use Starbucks because that's just kind of something that's easily removed from your spending plan. And say you find when you do your spending tracking that I'm at Starbucks Monday through Friday, and I'm spending at least $5, and that's being conservative. That's $25 a week that I'm spending on coffee. Well, when you think about it, most employers, you can get coffee for free at the office. You know, it's relative, you know, how, if you're a coffee connoisseur and all of that, does it really taste that different and all of that? But all of that aside, if you were on this journey and you made your mind up that now I want to get out of debt, or I need to, you know, save some money, increase my investments, or what have you, $25. So say I'm not one for deprivation. So maybe you just say, instead of 5 days a week, I'm going to treat myself to Starbucks 1 day a week. Okay. So, but now you've been living without the $25 for however long you've been on this journey. And so it's not like, oh, I have $25 or 20 extra dollars to go spend elsewhere. No, you're used to living without that money. So continue to live without that money. You're just going to redirect it. Instead of going to Starbucks, now it's going to your 401k or an IRA or a college fund or an emergency fund, or towards credit cards that have high debt, high interest rates on them. You're still the same $25. It's just you're doing different, making a different decision about that $25, and that you will see the impact and the change in your finances, you know, expeditiously. So something that simple.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was just going to say that, just small baby steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
One brave feather at a time.
That's
that
it.
we create this change, but then it leads to big results, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, as women entrepreneurs, right? We're both
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, and I know most of the viewers that are watching our show here on the Empowered Business Channel are females in business, right?
Yes.
And so what have you either from your own life or from, you know, clients you've worked with, are there any lessons in business that you've learned along the way that also apply to your, you know, can apply to our relationship with money?
I would say, you know, probably at the top of the list is planning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always planning, being strategic about what you're doing. And, you know, you heard me use the term spending plan, and I like to use that instead of budget, because when you say the word budget, it kind of sounds constraining, like the D word, diet, all about what you can't do and shouldn't do. Well, whereas spending money is something that we have to do. And so what a spending plan allows you to do is just strategically spend that money, as opposed to just, oh, it's here today, gone tomorrow, that kind of thing. And on that topic, like from my book on page 41, one of the quotes that I have in here is, we can't become what we need, by remaining what we are. And so that's about change. And it's about shifting that mindset, you know, of how I think about things. And when I think about things differently, that is change. And so that's my goal with everyone that I have an opportunity to serve, is to help them with that mind shift. And you know, using the word a spending plan. And I also use the terminology financial capability education as opposed to financial literacy. Are they the same? Very similar, but it's about mindset. And when you say financial literacy, it's about, I got to teach you something that you don't know. Whereas when I say financial capability education, it is because it's my philosophy that everyone has some level of knowledge. My goal is just to come alongside you and build on where you are. Start where you are, and you might be at a different place than the person sitting next to you. So start where you are and build upon the knowledge that you already have. You know, and that lets people know, you know, we're not experts at everything. No one is.
Yeah.
You know, you just know what you know. You stay in your lane. You're an expert at that. A friend of mine, his quote is always, know what you know what you don't know, and know who knows what you need to know. And that's all you need to know. I love that. When he said that, I was like, I got to borrow that because it's so powerful.
Right. That sure is. No, absolutely. And so, Pamela, what would you say then is something that you wish that you would have known about money when you first started as an entrepreneur, or even in your career?
I think career-wise, when I was in the banking and on the credit industry, early on in my career, I knew about 401ks, but didn't really understand it. And at that time, I was working for Sears and on the credit side. And at that time, how about they were matching dollar for dollar? They didn't even have a cap. It's like dollar for dollar. But I didn't understand it. And so you're thinking, oh, I don't want to give my money away. I need to spend it. I need to keep it, that kind of thing. And so probably for the first year or two of my career, I was not contributing to a 401k. And then even when I started contributing, I wasn't maxing out. And I was single. There's no really real reason or logic for not doing it other than I just didn't understand. And so had I understood earlier, you know, that 401k, that is your future. You know, you're investing in yourself. And so it's not like you're not spending the money that you're making and the money is going away and you're giving it away and all of those kind of limiting mindsets. It's an investment in yourself. And if you learn to live on the money that you have, i.e. your net income, not your gross, your net, what you're taking home, if you learn to live on that, you can build a decent life around that. And so once I got that understanding, like a year or two in, maxing out my 401k, anything that your employer is matching, if you're not at least contributing, you're leaving free money on the table. And so to learn to live without that money is an easy adjustment. And a couple little things like that, because even I remember my first car that my parents bought me after I finished the training program at Sears. And so I had that car payment coming out as an allotment, automatic payment. When the car was paid in full, my dad said, you're used to living without that money, so continue to live without that money. So we just redirected my car payment from the, you know, from the lender to an investment. Didn't change my lifestyle at all because I've been living without that money all this time. When I get bonuses at the bank, when I would get my bonuses or what have you, that's free. I didn't anticipate, that's not what I was living on. You don't know what your bonus is until it's time for the bonus, right? And so you get a little money off the top just to do something fun with, but the majority of it, boom, it goes into an investment or help you improve your finances, i.e. if you have high credit cards or student loans or what, maybe you put some of the money towards that. But it's not like, oh, let's go to the mall, let's go on vacation. You were living without this money, so continue to live without it, you know. Another scenario was, unfortunately, I was hit head on by a drunk driver my freshman year in college, home for Christmas break, on my way back. And so the money that came from that accident, my parents put it in an account. And my dad's instructions to me were to live your life as though this money does not exist. And when I say the wisdom in that, the nugget, and the first time I tapped that money was to put a down payment on my first home. Wow. A single female buying a home on my own by myself, because my parents were wise enough to say, live your life as though it doesn't exist. And I did. So I worked my little part-time job and everything was budgeted around my little bit of money that I was making at college and my little stipend that I was getting from home or whatever, but it had nothing to do with that money that I got from that accident.
Wow. So
And
powerful. Oh my
yes.
goodness, Pamela. Thank you so much for lending your voice to this conversation. And I would really love for people to learn, if you can share, how can people find you to learn more about how they can work with you, to learn more about Bonafide, or even just to continue this conversation? Where can people?
They can reach me. My website is www.bonafidecc.com, or they can call me at 813-495-8568. I do workshops and seminars. I do one-on-one consultations. So if you need help with anything, whether it's your spending plan, whether you have questions about credit in general, your credit score, your credit report, any of that, feel free to reach out. Be glad to help you.
Thank you so much, Pamela. It has truly been a gift to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And to those who are listening as well, on the website, they can purchase my book, as well as some t-shirts as well. And so you'll find the book to be a quick, easy read, inspirational, give you some money budgeting tips, all of that all in one. So
fantastic. Yep. And that's all on the screen for you. So yep, be sure to check all that out. Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you so much, Marlene, for having me. It was a great time.
When my daughter was in first grade, we discovered an educational TV program called The Magic School Bus. In one episode, the bus travels inside the human body for a behind-the-scenes view of what we only see from the outside. Well, in the same way, taking time out of your business and life to examine your money story helps you to travel beyond the physical dollars and cents of personal finance into the inner life of your money story. Your money beliefs, your experiences, habits, values, unique gifts and feminine strengths, and so much more. Exploring these areas helps you to understand the inner dynamics of your actions around money, especially for how it impacts your business. How do you think about money? How do you react to it? How do you communicate about money? Your money biography is foundational to how you actually see money. If finances were a subject of conflict in your house when you were growing up, your natural instinct may be to run and hide every time the subject of money comes up. In fact, if you avoid money conversations or play ostrich, refusing to admit that you have any money challenges, this could actually explain why. Oftentimes, memories of money growing up are associated with shame. One of my clients, I remember, shared about how she would stand in the grocery line when she was a little girl, and she would always dread the moment that always seemed to appear when she realized that her mom didn't have enough money to pay for their groceries. My client would feel in the pit of her stomach this embarrassment as the strangers would watch while the cashier would kind of put things back one by one. These are real stories with real consequences. And while they occurred in childhood, they don't remain in the past, right? These stories stay hidden in our subconscious, influencing every money decision that we make. But here's the good news. You have the power to change your money story. With courage, you can break free of what no longer serves you, one brave feather at a time. What are your financial dreams? There are so many to choose from. You could be the CEO and boss of your own business. You can create a nonprofit that serves an underserved population. You can put your children through college, buy your first home, pay off debt, have a secure retirement, or even retire early. You can make a 7-figure income. You can take a dream vacation, go back to school, be a philanthropist, or just have an idea that you spend time with that will change the world. What's your financial dream? Are you struggling to make it come true? Whatever your financial challenges may be, please know that you're not alone. Let this time together here be your encouraging companion for the support that you deserve to unfold your financial potential. Success is a team effort. To this day, I continue to expand my awareness through the mentoring and support of several beautiful, financially successful, heart-centered leaders and coaches who have inspired my work. I understand firsthand the challenges that rise in business and life from limiting beliefs, especially limiting money beliefs and fears that can and will keep us feeling stuck and frustrated and overwhelmed as entrepreneurs if we don't take time to retreat and examine our relationship to money with loving care and attention. It's the reason why I'm launching my financial self-care retreats called Money Wings Days for female entrepreneurs in 2019. In my book, Money Wings, I tell the story about how I became a mamapreneur. When my daughter turned 4, I took a leap from the nest of my comfort zone to spread my entrepreneurial wings for the first time. It was the start of the most daring, richest, and most grueling 3 years of my life. I set out to achieve my financial dream to raise a money-smart girl as a stay-at-home single mom. I had no idea that my broken relationship to money would prevent my dream from ever taking flight. I didn't even know what it meant to have a relationship to money, much less that I would have to admit all the aspects of that relationship, all the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll be honest, at the beginning, I felt really scared and angry. And I remember capturing my feelings one night in my journal. I wrote that money is part of almost every aspect of our life. So why was it that no one taught this to us in school with all the other subjects? And most importantly, how do I help my own daughter now fly when I haven't even learned how to unfold my own money wings? Looking at money from a different perspective is how everything changed for me. Today, I'm a successful author, speaker, coach, and podcast host. Growing Money Wings empowered me to break through my money challenges and unfold my financial dream just one brave feather at a time. Just as Money Wings has been life-changing for me, I know that it can be the change for you that can just transform your financial future too. I love helping creative, passionate, entrepreneurial women see money differently so that they can stop doubting and start daring to unfold their financial dreams. The insights and strategies in my book, they're designed to help you figure out what's standing in your way of finding financial success. What's holding you back? This whole book is filled with triumphant money stories, practical exercises, and safe, gentle, nurturing opportunities to grow in your relationship to money. Each chapter reflects the values that I hold dear: compassion, excellence, beauty, integrity, and faith. After reading my book, you will never look at money the same way again, as I explore money through a holistic lens: spiritual, emotional, psychological, and also through your unique feminine power and beautiful brain personality. I'm excited to bring all of this to Money Wings Days in 2019, which I'll be sharing more with you in the weeks and months to come, because you were born to thrive. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing you next time.